Hey, Kyle, Mark Malusis, Maggie Gray. Nice to meet you, and thanks for hopping on this morning.
Nice to meet you guys, too. Thanks for having me.
We're talking about big games. I know we're talking about the Yankees. They got a wild card game tonight against the Boston Red Sox. I'm not sure how big of a baseball fan you are, but obviously you've played in really big games, big playoff games. What was your sort of the day of, Kyle? Like, what are you trying to make sure you're getting done that day? What was your mentality? Like, walk us through the day in the life of Kyle Rudolph on a win-or-go-home day.
Well, the biggest thing, for us in football, I've had 8:30 p.m. playoff games. I've also had a noon playoff game. We played the Seattle Seahawks at home in Minnesota at noon on a Sunday afternoon, and then I've had night playoff games as well. So depending on what time kickoff is, that completely changes your game day routine. And playing a playoff game at noon in the Central Time Zone, you don't really have much time to think about it. You wake up, you eat breakfast, you go to the stadium, and it's time to go. When you kick off at 8:30 p.m. or 7:30 at night, and you're kind of sitting around the hotel all day, it seems like the day takes forever for the game to finally get there and kick off. But yeah, usually for us, if we're playing a night game and we've got time, we'll do some stuff in the morning. Usually have some meetings, maybe a walkthrough, get guys up, get them on their feet, make sure they're not just laying around the hotel room all day, and then get over to the stadium a few hours before kickoff and get ready to go.
Kyle, how about, transitioning from Minnesota here to the Giants' first year, new offense with Garrett? How long did it take you transitioning now to a new offense and a new OC?
Well, I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately for me. I've had 6 coordinators in the last 6 years, so learning a new offense. I guess unfortunately that I've had 6 in 6 years, but fortunately it's taught me how to kind of study and learn these offenses. And with that also, I played for Norv Turner in Minnesota, and Norv and Jason, their offense comes from that 90s Cowboys, a lot of similarities, a lot of carryover. So there was a lot of familiarity with this offense. And the biggest thing for me was just diving into the nuances. Obviously, as offenses evolve, things change a little bit, and the basics were the same, but there are some nuances that I had to learn, and I feel very comfortable in it. And it's been awesome. We've got an unbelievable staff here, both on offense, but really the whole staff, and they're just always willing to help and teach us learn the game and learn our responsibilities.
Kyle, Giants fans around here have been really begging for this offense to get a lot more aggressive, get more creative. I know a lot of this predates you, but you're here now. We saw in the last game against New Orleans, you guys win in overtime, 7 plays of 20-plus yards or more, just the explosive touchdowns, obviously, the John Ross touchdown, the Saquon touchdown. I mean, these were big plays. Was that something where you guys came in with this more aggressive game plan, or was it what the defense was giving you?
I think, most of the time, when you go into a game, there's 3 things that win and lose football games, and explosive plays on offense is always one of those. So you're always trying to, have more explosive plays than the other offense. And, at times though, you can't just force those because you have to have them. And, when you look at the touchdown to John Ross, the touchdown to Saquon, those were both opportunities that the defense gave us. And, with that, it becomes now you have to execute in those critical situations. I think you look back at our, first 3 weeks, specifically the last 2 weeks, and I think that was the difference in the game. We were so close the last 2 weeks. We were right there, but we didn't execute in a few critical situations. And then, you go down to New Orleans last year, it's going to be 60 minutes, 4 quarters. And nobody blinked when we were down 11 points there halfway through the fourth quarter. We knew we just had to go out, execute in critical situations, and then boom, next thing you know, explosive play to Saquon, 2-point conversion, and then the field goal to send it to overtime.
Kyle, you weren't here a year ago, but I curious your impressions here of your quarterback Jones this year and what you've seen him do. Year 3 for him, big year, coming off. I'd make it probably his signature victory Sunday down in New Orleans. But what's your feel vibe of your quarterback Jones?
I've been impressed with him since the day I got here, and it actually supersedes that. I've been a fan of this game. I like to kind of watch guys across the league, certainly always watching tape, but watching the games on TV, when our game's over, if the 4:30 games or the night games. And I remember coming up here a couple of years ago with the Vikings and playing against the Giants in Daniel's rookie year, and getting on the bus after the game, and a lot of our guys, Harrison Smith, Everson Griffin, perennial Pro Bowl players, were just raving about how talented he was and how well he played in that game. So I've kind of always followed from afar, and now being here, being in the building with him every day, he's a consummate professional, and he prepares harder than anyone I've ever been with. And it's been really fun for me to get to go out there and play with him these first 4 weeks and see him play so well. He certainly deserves all the success that he's having because he's prepared for it. Like I said, he works as hard as anyone I've been around, and it's a lot of fun going out there on Sundays with him.
I think a lot of Giants fans, and Kyle Rudolph is our guest, are just relieved to see Daniel taking these big steps forward, especially this year, which feels like a make or break year for him. Kyle, when you were signed here, I think one of the reasons and something that the team kind of touted was, you're another weapon in the red zone for this team that had struggled in that area and was ranked 31st last year in the red zone last season. Listen, you got the explosive plays. You don't need to be in the red zone when John Ross and Saquon are running, for 58-yard touchdowns and 48-yard touchdowns, but still the team seems to struggle in that area. What has to happen for the Giants to become more successful in the red zone?
I think the biggest thing is, like you said, we got to get down there more. Certainly it's great when you're scoring from 50-plus yards out and having explosive plays, but I think when you go back and look at the course of our season, we're not getting down there enough. And then when we do get down there and we get on the fringe of scoring area, we're doing things to put ourselves behind the chains. So, first and foremost, it's getting down there more. We need to get down there more. And then when we're down there, we got to stay ahead of the chain. So, that way we can use all these playmakers that we have here. I look at all the guys across our roster. They're all capable of making big plays in the red zone and scoring touchdowns. We just got to get there more. We got to stay on track, and then we can get to use all of our fun weapons that we have.
Kyle, I'm curious. Last week, former receiver with the Giants Golden Tape talked about, the work for Joe Judge during the course of the week. That maybe on Wednesdays the work is a little too hard, coming off the hamstring injuries with Slayton, the hamstring injury with Sterling Shepard. Outside of that building, when you see a former player making those statements, how should a Giant fan read that? Is that nonsense? I mean, how do you read that, looking at that statement that Golden Tape made about your head coach Joe Judge?
Well, I think if you're paying attention to the outside noise and listening to those kinds of things, you'll be distracted from the real reason that we're all here every day, and that's to try to win football games. And Coach Judge has shown us why we do everything. And I think for me as a player, especially as a veteran player, I'm not the youngest guy in the world anymore. So just running for running isn't good for me. But when there's always a rhyme or reason and he shows you the why, it's very easy to believe in what he's doing. And everything that we do, there's a reason why we do it, and he shows us that reason. And I think that's part of the reason why you don't hear any of that complaining coming from inside the building, because everyone knows there's a reason why we do it. I think if you go look at that Saints game last week, you could turn on the tape, and I think when you watch the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter in overtime, one team was probably in a little better shape than the other, and that's because of the reason why we work around here.
Well, good thing you were in good shape to fall on that fumble. Yeah. When Saquon fumbles the ball, and there was Kyle Rudolph to save the game.
Just doing my job. You're supposed to run after the ball, and when you have a playmaker like Saquon, you certainly know the first guy's not going to tackle him. Most of the time, the second guy's not going to tackle him. He does an unbelievable job keeping his balance, makes two guys miss, an incredible stiff arm. Unfortunately, the ball came out, but that's why you always run after the ball, and we're able to be there and dive on it.
Yeah, I think I hurt myself just watching him run. I mean, I really do. It's amazing what he can do on the football field.
Also, Kyle was open on that play, but we'll talk about that another time.
I want to ask you the decision to come here, right? And we didn't, Maggie and I didn't get a chance to interview you, and now we're 4 games into the season. But you're a veteran tight end. You've had success. You've had a really successful career with Minnesota, great college player at Notre Dame. Why the decision to come here to New York with the Giants?
Well, first and foremost, it just starts with the history and tradition of this organization. I've always admired this organization from afar. Certainly, my background and my relationship with the Mara family and Tim McDonald being at Notre Dame when I was at Notre Dame. So I've always admired the way that this organization has done things in a first-class manner throughout my entire career in the NFL. And so that was first and foremost. And then getting to know Coach Judge and Coach Garrett, getting to spend some time with, the guys around the locker room, the guys in the building. It's a young team, and I see this team in a very similar situation to the young teams that I was on in Minnesota that had all the talent in the world, just had to figure out how to win football games. And, we went from being 7-9 in 2013, 2014, we ended up making the playoffs in 2015 at 11-5. And it was just, this group is as close as any group that I've ever been around. And it's fun for me, like I said, as an older guy to be around a lot of these young guys. And, I feed off them. I get energy from them. And it's a ton of fun coming to work every day. It's, what we do for a living, it can be grueling and it can be a grind. But when you have guys in your locker room like we have here, it makes it so much fun for me to come to work every day. And, it was awesome last week to be able to finally go out and get a win because, guys are coming in each and every day and you're putting the work and to finally reap a little bit of a reward was awesome to see.
And just tell us really quickly, Kyle, Gen Youth Board of Directors, this is something near and dear to your heart, and it's about making sure that young people don't have food insecurity. How'd you get involved with this charity? Well,
so I've worked with Gen Youth for a number of years, and Alexis Glick, the CEO, has become a very good friend of mine, and it's incredible what they're doing all across the country and in the school systems, making sure that, our youth isn't having food insecurity issues. And I think for me, the biggest thing was, you look back over the last 18 months, like it's hard to believe that here in the greatest country in the world, we have hunger. It just seems like such a simple right that we would all have here and have food, but it's not the case. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times food insecurities and hunger are right in our own backyard, and we don't even realize it. And I go back to the last 18 months, the pandemic has really, really highlighted a lot of these food insecurities, certainly with kids not going to school. A lot of times that's where they depended on their one big meal for the day was lunch at school. So they just do unbelievable work all across the country. They happen to be right here in the New York City area, and to have the opportunity to join the board of directors and work with a ton of other incredible individuals to try to make a difference in this world. It was a no-brainer for me, and I'm extremely excited to work with them.
Oh,
well, Kyle,
great.
that's awesome.
It's awesome.
It really is. Well, listen, continued success on the field, off the field. Best of luck with Gen Youth. It's great work that they're doing, and it's Dallas week. Good luck against the Cowboys on Sunday, all right?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it and look forward to talking to you again soon.